Welcome back to Disney Fighting Evolution. After nearly 2.5 years, the storyline is properly back. I'm AJ, and this video we'll be discussing one thing and one thing only. War. Nobody likes it. But in the realm of fiction, who cares? Disney certainly doesn't. Honestly, the reason why this took so long to get back to was because, truthfully, not a lot of stuff happened in the Disney alignment in 2016. Mainly because so many other things were going on. What do I mean by that? Well, first, let's have a recap. By 2016, in Shareverse, the Disney alignment was in a full-on civil war. On one side, you had Neo-Disney, the small but powerful faction of the alignment, aiming to destroy the corporate greed of original Disney that betrayed many of its ideals from its past. This group was led by Maleficent, who had first-hand experience of being used by the company and almost died from their negligent actions, causing her to form the division. But there was also another leader. That was DJ, who had been conspiring a takedown of the mouse for 20 years underneath her public family life. With Neo-Disney being the visualization of her ambition, she aided Maleficent to create an army of clones, some being modified clones of the deceased Disney employees, but they also found success in making new ones too, due in part to their story generator and cloning chambers making the story, characters, and products. Their end goal was to enter the alignment into a new era, completely resetting the company from zero, but establishing a safer environment for Astral Souls to work in. Meanwhile, you had original Disney, led of course by Mickey, but he wasn't too interesting in the fighting, so he entrusted their side of the war to his co-owner, Gatomon in her business form Lilithmon, who had her smaller pair of alignment friends, featuring her partial clone Nerissa and the former exiled Ursula. I've already discussed this group in previous videos in DFE. But more importantly, there was Grimhilda, who co-founded Neo-Disney with Maleficent, but defected once her son began to participate in the war. As for her son Seto, he lost his human memories when converted into a Digimon, but regained them upon the reunion with his mom, making the Tachibana family complete alongside her husband Bargra. In the summer of 2015, the first Descendants battle occurred, where the victor was original Disney, thanks to Grimm's new knight form wielding Excalibur slaying Maleficent's half-dragon form. But even though original Disney had strength in numbers, Neo-Disney surpassed them financially, with their products doing super well in the box office and had a lot of popularity. Even the series for Astro Souls, Wild and Crazy Gaide, was cancelled because it was partially original Disney propaganda. So the start of 2016 was tense for the alignment, and things would only get more crazy. After Maleficent was revived following the first Descendants battle, Neo-Disney was not looking good. They somehow lost the ownership to the film Inside Out to Pixar, and had no movie planned for the end of the year, a time where they were known for making most of their profit. Even worse, they executed their cash cow Elsa because she was deemed weak as a fighter. After Whack, Elsa was revived, and alongside her sister Anna, both defected to original Disney. But original Disney was not aware that DJ anticipated this, hence why Elsa's code was still in the cloning chambers, for a replacement was already planned. The reason why the war didn't do a lot in 2016 was because DJ was busy filming her family life. As a reminder, some sitcoms in Shareverse often act as reality shows for Astro Souls. So with DJ occupied with the first season of Fuller House, she wasn't around that much. But before she departed, she had the ultimate clone all ready to go. Considering how Frozen made so much money, Neo-Disney decided to create a clone of Elsa, but modified to become stronger. Their next project would feature anthropomorphic characters and a metropolitan city, known as Zootopia. And during the story generation process, its main lead, Judy Hopps, was genetically cloned from Elsa's code. but DJ made a few alterations. Instead of magic, Judy prioritized in strength, and with an added modified human form retaining her rabbit agility, she surpassed Elsa in every way. During the start of 2016, Judy won so many battles when the two sides clashed. During the marketing tour for Zootopia, it became clear that Judy was going to take the gold home for all animated films in 2016. So much so that other animated films had their release dates pushed back. Both Illumination films that featured anthro animals in a city were delayed in fear of competition from Disney. Even something unrelated like Sausage Party, a raunchy, sex-filled stoner dark comedy, was supposed to have a 4th of July release, but was pushed back to August, horrified of Judy's power. And with the film's release date being March 4th, 2016, Neo Disney was about to turn the tide of the war. Now, even though Neo and original Disney battled each other non-stop, outside of the alignment, things were mostly peaceful. January 2016 saw the first production of Super Smash Lesbians, which featured members from both sides of the war. And as a shock, they never engaged in fights. Probably because that production was dealing with more serious feuds in the subchoral alignment. But with it being a success for Astro Souls, a sequel was well underway, this time titled Super Smash Lesbians Melee, which also aired on March 4th. But to avoid another beatdown, AJ, my reflection, who owns the parody series and was an original Disney supporter, took out Rosalina to dinner without her knowing of the production. During their date, a cop car confronted the two. As soon as the window rolled down, a gun was drawn directly at Rosalina. It was revealed to be Judy, and she was working against her script. When Neo Disney heard that Melee was happening, they arranged a plan to overthrow the production. During the livestream, Judy would step in, assassinate Elsa, and take her place. But she decided to take a more questionable route. Killing Elsa would be easy pickings, so what was the point of killing her when she could kill the woman who caused her execution in the first place? And when Judy showed the livestream to Rosalina, she got infuriated. She fought in her Smash 4 Nightmare form, and poor Judy stood no chance. But instead of killing her, Rosalina gave her a message to relay to Neo Disney. Don't involve the subchoral alignment in their war again, for an astral goddess of Nintendo was among them. Afterwards, Rosalina got angry at AJ for airing the parody series behind her back. A few hours later, a bloody Judy returned to Maleficent, relaying the failure of her task. But instead of killing her like her predecessor, Maleficent saw value in Judy, especially when Zootopia would ultimately be a financial success. In addition, there was a fallback plan. Judy wasn't the only clone that DJ created. Much like the Grimhilda clones before, there would be 2 Elsa clones, each specifying in different strengths. The other clone would have been used in the Universal sequel of Snow White and the Huntsman, and this clone, named Freya, would retain ice powers, but her strength doubled due to also having Ravana's data, Grimhilda's second clone. Sure, by this point, the Viacom alignment was well aware of Neo Disney's infiltration soldiers, and Freya was immediately kicked out. And even though the Huntsman Winter War, or whatever that film was called, was an absolute bomb, none of that mattered. All Freya had to do was get her name out in the public, making it clear that she was more dangerous than Judy, leading to another major clash. By this point, Neo Disney made an impact in movies and TV, and now they set their sights on the parks. But with Magic Kingdom being the primary domain for original Disney, their Epcot lab being destroyed, and Hollywood Studios being reserved for Star Wars, a neutral party of the war, Neo Disney aimed to take over Animal Kingdom, the least popular of the 4 parks. And with the creation of their latest project, Neo Disney had the perfect invasion spot. Camp Mickey Minnie was a rushed inclusion to Animal Kingdom as a temporary placeholder for Beastly Kingdom, which never came, eventually closing in 2014. Neo Disney saw the vacant plot of land as a vehicle to get Zootopia in the parks. But also, original Disney was looking to remove that area as far back as 2010, replacing it with something more modern and maintain control over Animal Kingdom. And that would come in the form of Avatar. However, the Na'vi were adamant in the deal since their people and culture would be involved in a war between portal people. Miss Lilith and Mickey were called that because they came to their universe through portals, similar to the Sky People coming in through ships. So Mickey assured them that once Neo Disney fled Animal Kingdom, their partnership would continue. In May, a full-scale attack occurred in the construction area of Pandora, the park, not the planet. Judy and Freya being the dual commanding officers and took down anyone in their path. Original Disney retaliated with their local Astral Souls in the park. And Elsa joined along, even though both of her clones easily overpowered her. But she had a good reason of being there. Among the original Disney soldiers was Simba, who in a way was the 90s equivalent of Elsa in terms of popularity and profit. She usually talked to him because of how similar their dynamics were. The difference between them was that Simba had a hot wife, Nala. But even still, he was protective of his employment position and high status in the park, helping to fight off the intruders, alongside his hot wife. Elsa tried as much as she could to help, but Judy outclassed her in speed and would have killed her, but Anna aided in, this time not letting her sister die again. Elsa was able to pin Judy on the ground, but declined to kill her, retaining her code as a pacifist. Meanwhile, Freya revealed a monster form similar to Ravana, but hers was in the form of a wolf. But with Simba and Nala having full knowledge on the park's resources and their cultural practices from it, they were able to double team her. Even though there were no casualties, Neo Disney lost the battle. Once the Pandora section of the park was able to continue its construction, Animal Kingdom became yet another neutral zone. Neo Disney was pushed into a corner. Outside of Moana being a success in November, their live-action remakes were declining in profits, including a remake of Pete's Dragon, where the Pete clone could summon his version of Elliot. But having a Neo Disney dragon fight original Disney again was not a wise decision. The other clones also got their asses kicked in these clashes, and Neo Disney lost the chance to be prominent in the parks. The rest of 2016 saw nothing going on with the Disney alignment, mainly since other alignments in Shareverse had major storylines occurring. But with DJ's return, now maintaining a steady balance between Neo Disney and her family life, 2017 would be a different story. DJ's plan was to promote the Renaissance clones to a more prominent position in the TV and movie fields, instead of relying on the new clones. After all, these clones held knowledge and skills about their original counterparts, alongside their fame and notoriety, outside of their clones' modified abilities. Neo Disney started off the year right with the live-action remake of Beauty and the Beast, and revitalizing the idea of future live-action remakes. It made so much money. A disgusting amount too, I'm not happy about that. So much so that Neo Disney made upgrades to their cloning chambers, modifying their clones to become stronger. Most notably, the Belle clone became a threat in the clashes. Her ninja skills led many of their fights, and alongside her cloned son Ben, they were dangerous. And over on the TV side, the Ariel clone gave Neo Disney more opportunities lined up. Maleficent was planning on a second Descendants battle, and therefore another Descendants decon, making more cloned children of Disney villains in the process. And this time, she made it personal, with the newest member, Uma, being the cloned daughter of Ursula. But because Neo Disney didn't create a clone of the Sea Witch, Uma's code was a mixture of the Ariel clone and all of the information regarding Ursula as an employee of the alignment. Now, where was Jasmine's clone in all of this? Somewhere in the middle, being a skilled fighter for the two clones. Same goes for a clone based off of her data, Jay. With how powerful the clones were becoming, Neo Disney was inches away to total domination of the alignment. But with this over-reliance and confidence, Neo Disney's cracks were slowly beginning to form, which would implode in the second Descendants battle. By the summer of 2017, Neo Disney had the money and power, but some of the clones were starting to become more existential. Recall that Carlos was cloned after Ravana's data, but was told by everyone that he was the cloned son of a failed Cruella de Vil clone. However, in recent fights that featured Ravana, he realized that he too shared a lot of her abilities. To make matters worse, the Pete clone was unknowingly the refigured and modified artificial astral soul of Spot from The Good Dinosaur. Supposedly, once that movie tanked, Neo Disney stole its data from Disney's story generator, including their artificial astral soul data, and used it for themselves as one of the many opportunities to mass-produce clones. This also included Spot's data being erased to create the Pete clone. Carlos felt disgusted by this revelation and felt like the clones were created and used by the higher-ups without attaining benefits or individuality, not knowing that if one project failed, those clones would be deleted and repurposed into another clone, losing their memories and importance in the faction. In fact, it's no different to what happened to the clones from Enchanted that Disney created, only to be executed when they considered that movie wasn't successful enough, which led to the start of Neo Disney in the first place. From this deception, Carlos decided that something should be done. Meanwhile, the other clones arranged that at the start of August would see the second Descendants battle. But Uma was an idealist. She saw herself as the pinnacle of Neo Disney clones due to her high magic power. So, she ordered for the other cloned children of villains to not be created, and requested that she would be the only cloned descendant soldier to fight original Disney. And so, she went into battle head first, striking down Main Street, with the Renaissance and other clones following behind. But Belle's clone insisted to bring Ben along. Original Disney retaliated, and the usual battle pairings occurred. Grimhilda fought Maleficent, and Miss Lilith's group handled the Renaissance trio. Even still, she personally fought the Belle clone and Ben head-on, on account that they were the leaders of each side's entertainment division. Meanwhile, Carlos decided to pull a one-man revolt against Neo Disney, threatening to destroy the cloning chambers if Neo Disney continued fighting. But Maleficent only saw him as a nuisance, and casually told Ravana to kill her son. But when he confronted her, he expressed his frustrations that the other cloned children all had someone to look up to, a parental figure that they could rely on, except him. He grew jealous that Maul had a mother, and both Grimhilda and her clone had children they supported. Even Jay was good partners with Jasmine's clone. Carlos desired a motherly bond, but was deprived of it, and was instead lied to by his subordinates. From his persuasion, Ravana aborted her mission and agreed to set things out with him. Back in the parks, Miss Lilith was able to fend off and even kill Ben, causing Belle's clone to retreat. Now for Ursula, she took on Uma on her own. Uma anticipated that she would surpass her predecessor with ease, but underestimated her opponent. Because following the Disney Princess Massacre, Ursula went into exile for 7 years, and no one, not even Neo Disney, knew what she was up to during that time. Meaning Ursula got the upper hand with a new Sea Witch form and showed off a couple of new tricks that screwed over Uma, ultimately killing her and the Ariel clone in the process. Meanwhile, Neo Disney became aware of Ravana's betrayal, and she was also labeled as an enemy. DJ tasked Clementiana and Evie, Grimm's first clone and her clone daughter, to take the others out. but Ravana and Carlos retaliated, fighting their parallels in return, as both used their magic and energy to self-destruct the cloning chambers, destroying everything in the proximate area and taking their opponents down with them. Even though it was only for a brief moment in time, Carlos found purpose in life, dying alongside someone who cared for him. From the explosion, Neo Disney ordered their troops to fall back, despite Maleficent getting the upper hand against Grimhilda. When they returned, they noticed the R&D section of the base was beyond repair. What's worse was that the story generator and cloning chambers were demolished entirely, meaning if a clone died, they would not be able to come back. Belle's clone was devastated, realizing her son was gone forever. DJ saw this as an ultimatum. Mickey was going to die by her hands and end original Disney's influence on employees betraying their masters. In addition, the destruction throughout the parks from the aftermath was grand enough to grab Mickey's attention, making the full commitment to get involved with the war and the belief that Neo Disney will be stopped under his command. And this would lead into the final arc of Disney fighting evolution. And so, that was the beginning of the end for DFE. The second half of the war has now been discussed, so all that's left is just the final battle, which will be coming fairly soon, so make sure you like and subscribe to this video to see how this storyline ends. Until then, I'm AJ, and I'll see you all in the next one.